I'd like to invite Timmy and Leanne to do the next presentation on multidisciplinary care. Timmy is our dietitian at the Healthy Weight Australia, and Leanne is our psychologist.
Good evening, everyone. So I'd like to, you've heard a little bit about how at Healthy Weight Australia we run a multidisciplinary team, and I sort of want to highlight some of the aspects that you may not know about and some of the things that are quite important that we feel are sort of essential for our patients to get the best success long term. All right, so we've called our program at Healthy Weight the Complete Care Program, and it's based on literature and evidence-based practice. Our team consists of the physician, dietitian, psychologist, and an EP. And minimum, we look after our patients for 12 months. There's the American Society for Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery guidelines do suggest a minimum of 12 months. And there's been some good research that shows that seeing the multidisciplinary team for a minimum of 12 sessions within a first 6 month period tends to predict better outcomes in those who have had bariatric procedure. So with our patients, we see them all for pre-op assessments, and that includes any necessary tests that they might need to take. And then we see them post-op pretty regularly in the early stages, so at 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. I think for good patient outcomes long term, I think they require the right education, support, and advice. So what I find is that in the bariatric surgery community, if you go online, the Facebook groups and forums, it's really quite big. Whether that's in Australia, whether that's in America, and what we find is that there's a lot of misguided information out there. So, we'll get patients coming in, sort of asking me about this or asking me about that, and it's something that I've read online. And so I think what's important is having a team where we can guide them with the right types of strategies so that they don't sort of get taken off in the wrong direction. I think from a nutrition standpoint, when I see patients, I find that they've got a history of yo-yo dieting and fad dieting, and when they've come to the decision to have a bariatric procedure, they, it's kind of the last resort for a lot of them, and I sort of find that creating some good long-term habits is really important. Often when they come in and we do pre-op blood tests, we find that nutrient deficiencies can be quite common, and Garrett's probably something that you see in your patients, where low vitamin D, low iron, low B12 is sort of quite common. And in these patients that are quite severely obese, we sort of find that they're a little bit overfed but undernourished because they've sort of gone through this yo-yo cycle over the years. I find that maladaptive eating can be a big problem as well. So even with something like, for example, a sleeve gastrectomy, where their stomach becomes a much smaller size physically, they soon learn that certain foods that they need to be eating, such as quality proteins, chicken, meat, eggs, fish, things like that are going to really help with their long-term outcomes. Often they find difficulty eating them. They do need to eat really slowly. They do need to take their time with meals, and that's something that I really emphasize with them, that it's not a quick fix having a bariatric surgery. Long-term habits are important. And with those protein-based foods, if they find that they're not slowing down, they start to go for the easy foods. I know every bariatric patient will find that chocolate goes down so easily. It melts, it's sweet, it's delicious, and it just slips right through. But unfortunately, these long-term habits, as they start to pick up these old habits again, the weight regain can be a big problem. So really highlighting that is becoming a potential problem. And I think exercise is really key. So our patients come from a wide variety of backgrounds with their exercise history. Some of them might have had bad experiences in a gym. Some of them might have chronic injuries. Some of them have osteoarthritis. And so seeing a good exercise physiologist who can give them that support from the early stages, kind of set expectations about, for you to get the best outcomes long term, these are the types of exercise that we can be doing. In the initial stages, building confidence around exercise is key. A lot of them with those bad experiences find that, even just walking or stepping into a gym is a really confronting experience. So we often find that right support, just to get them moving in the right direction, can be really good. So what makes us different? Well, we've looked at some strategies around, we know that the research shows that self-monitoring of weight can protect against weight regain in the long term. Also, tracking food intake, whether it's with an app or a food diary, can actually help to increase mealtime awareness. And for me personally, it's something I like to talk to patients a lot about, really reducing frequency of mindless eating. A lot of the time, we're all in a rush, so we're eating in front of the TV, or our lunch break at work is 5 minutes, so we'll just scoff our food and eat it so quickly that we don't really know, when we've eaten till we're satisfied and what's enough. So really increasing mealtime awareness is key. I think tracking physical activity can be really helpful to engage patients to focus on maintaining their sustainable but effective, exercise patterns. Simple things like step counters, in the initial stages, they might be managing 2,000 to 3,000 steps a day, but seeing them be able to build those numbers of 5,000, 6,000 a day can be really empowering for them, because they see themselves really moving in the right direction, not only with physical activity, but the way that they're feeling as well. And I think optimizing sleep is really key. So, with a lot of our patients who might have sleep apnea, they feel tired during the day, their blood pressure's up. And when you're not sleeping well, you don't feel so great during the day. So that really, affects your motivation and drive, and often can lead to poor decision making when it comes to meal times. So what we've done is, for all our patients who come into our complete care program, we provide them all with a Fitbit, as well as an ARIA scale. So they can monitor their weight each day, they can track their food intake, as well as monitoring their step counts, and we leave them the option to send that data back to us. And that's an opt-in service up to them. If they don't want to, that's okay. But some patients like that accountability, and us being able to sort of monitor them from afar and sort of saying, all right, well, after a couple of months, we notice your steps have dropped a little bit. We might just ring in and just check up on them to see how they're going, because sometimes things don't always move smoothly, and we understand that. And just finding some ways to get them back on track is quite helpful. The other thing that we do is we offer body composition tracking. So we do it with bioelectrical impedance analysis, and we find that checking their baseline from pre-op and then monitoring it every 3 months can sort of highlight what's going on the inside. Often with things like weight loss and bariatric surgery, some patients get really fixated on that number. And sometimes, I'll see them maybe 2 months after surgery, and maybe they've lost 15 kilos already, and in the last week they've checked their weight at home, and Tim, it hasn't moved for a week. Am I hitting a plateau? Am I going to lose any more weight? And sort of adjusting their expectations to say that this is a long-term process, and if you do check their body composition, we can sort of see what's going on the inside, and it's sort of nice for them to see those kinds of numbers as well. I think with all the successes that our patients do get, it's not an easy path. And for anyone that says that bariatric surgery, weight loss surgery is the easy way out, it's definitely not. It requires a lot of hard work to get the right success. And with some of those struggles that come along, I think having someone that they can really have some support with, a good psychologist, is key. And I'd like to invite Leanne up to say a few words about how she manages with our patients in that regard.